Tuscaloosa to frenzy! We talked about Alabama reaches the college cut for the first time.
Heisman Memorial Trophy.
The first soccer championship in school history.
Is still Alabama.
Welcome to the Crimson Tide production studio right here inside of Bryant-Denny Stadium.
She's Kenzie Hughes and I'm Roger Hoover, and welcome to another episode of TideTV this week. Roll Tide football is back.
Roll Tide football is back, and even better, I got to break out the Uggs this week, which is incredible. It's getting cold in Tuscaloosa. It's Ugg season. The first set of rankings from the College Football Playoff Committee were released Tuesday, Roger, and even though they have one loss on the season, the Tide is still squarely in the mix for one of the 4 spots in the College Football Playoff.
They are, Kenzie. The committee has Alabama among the first 4 out at number 8 in the first rankings. Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State are the top 4, with Washington, Oregon, Texas, and Alabama coming in as the next 4. The rankings not only determine who the 4 teams are that will compete in the college football playoff, but the committee also selects the matchups for the New Year's 6 bowl games that include the Rose, Sugar, Cotton, Orange, Fiesta, and Peach Bowls.
The College Football Playoff Committee will update their rankings every Tuesday with the final matchups revealed on Selection Sunday, December 3rd. The Crimson Tide have been hard at work these past 2 weeks. Since the 34-20 win over the Tennessee Volunteers, the Tide had a bye week last week, and this week, Coach Saban and the Crimson Tide have turned their attention to this week's opponent, the LSU Tigers.
After 8 straight weeks of competing, the bye week came at just the right time as the Tide prepares for the Tigers and the final month of the regular season.
You know, bye weeks at this time of the season can be very beneficial, and I think in a lot of ways to our team it was very beneficial. I think we got lots of guys that were banged up a little bit, some rest and limited reps so that they could heal up, and of course we won't know how well that happens until we see how they respond this week. And we got a lot of good repetitions on future opponents as well as LSU, you know, in the bye week. So that should enhance, you know, our preparation, you know, for this game.
That contest against LSU is this Saturday night at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
That it is, and for a preview of that primetime matchup between the Tide and the Tigers, our Christopher England joins us now. Christopher.
It's the final SEC home game of the season, and it's a big one. A battle for the top spot in the West as 8th-ranked Alabama hosts the 14th-ranked LSU Tigers. With a win, the Crimson Tide will have a 2-game lead in the division and will be in the driver's seat to represent the West in the SEC championship game. Last season in Baton Rouge, it took overtime to determine the winner. Alabama led 21-17 with under 2 minutes left in the game, but LSU took a 24-21 lead on a Jaden Daniels 7-yard touchdown pass. Bryce Young led the Tide down the field, and Will Riker connected from 46 yards out to tie the game at 24 and send it into overtime. The 2 teams traded touchdowns in overtime, but the Tide went for the extra point, and the Tigers went for the 2-point conversion. LSU's 2-point conversion was good, and the Tigers escaped with a 32-31 win in Death Valley. It was another close matchup the last time the 2 squared off in Bryant-Denny 2 years ago, up 14-7. Bryce Young connected with Jamison Williams for 58 yards to put Bama up 20-7 as the Tide rolled to the 20-14 win. Alabama enters the matchup 7-1, while LSU comes into Bryant-Denny 6-2. The Tigers' 2 losses were against teams that are now in the top 10. 4th-ranked Florida State routed the Tigers in their season opener 45-24. The week after Alabama defeated Ole Miss 24-10 in Bryant-Denny, the Rebels defeated the Tigers in Oxford. LSU led 49-47 with under a minute to go, but Jackson Dart connected with Trey Harris for the game-winning score as the Rebels handed the Tigers their 2nd loss of the season, 55-49. LSU enters the matchup with the top offense in the country. Led by Oregon State transfer Jaden Daniels, the Tigers lead the nation in scoring offense, total offense, passing touchdowns, first downs, and third down conversions. LSU averages over 47 points per game. That's a touchdown per game better than Georgia and 17 more than the Crimson Tide.
You know, LSU is really, really good team, probably one of the best teams in the country right now. They are the best team in the country on offense. We're going to need an excellent attention to detail, focus, good technical preparation in the game so that, you know, everybody plays responsibility football, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams.
Jaden Daniels leads the nation in touchdown passes, passing efficiency, and is third, averaging 321 yards per game. Daniels has thrown for over 2,500 yards with 25 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions. Daniels is a true dual threat as he has rushed for 521 yards. That's over 65 yards per game and almost 6 yards per rush with 5 rushing touchdowns.
They execute their offenses, you know, to perfection, and it starts with him because he makes the right reads relative to runs and passes and, you know, zone option plays and pass down plays. He's very good at reading coverages, makes really quick decisions. So all those things were evident last year, I think, by the way he played, and I think he's probably even better, you know, now because he has even more experience and knowledge in the offense, and they've got really good players around them.
The Alabama defense won't be able to key on just one receiver, as the Tigers also have the nation's leader in receiving yards and touchdown receptions. Malik Neighbors leads the nation with 981 receiving yards, averaging over 122 per game, while Brian Thomas Jr. leads all of college football with 11 touchdown receptions. While the Tigers have one of the best offenses in the country, their defense has been one of the worst. LSU is 12th in the SEC and 73rd nationally, allowing almost 27 points per game. The Tigers are also 12th in the conference and 88th nationally, allowing almost 400 yards per game at 395. LSU is also dead last in the SEC and 127th out of 130 teams in red zone defense. Once an opponent gets inside the 20, the Tigers have allowed scores on 26 of 27 possessions, including 19 touchdowns. The Tigers have also had trouble getting to opposing quarterbacks as they have totaled just 14 sacks on the season, good for 13th in the SEC and 95th in the nation. The Tigers will also be without several key players on defense, including third-team All-American defensive tackle Mekhi Wingo and junior defensive back Zy Alexander, who is second on the team with 2 interceptions.
You know, I think this has developed into sort of a, you know, rivalry game because they're always ranked, we're always ranked. It's always a big game relative to, you know, what happens in our division. So it's an important game for, you know, both teams.
Alabama owns a 55-27 all-time record over LSU, and for Coach Saban, he is 12-5 as head coach of the Crimson Tide against the LSU Tigers.
Thank you, Christopher.
This week's matchup is in prime time, but next week's game will be an early one.
After a month at home, the Crimson Tide will hit the road for next week's matchup.
And that matchup next week will be against the Kentucky Wildcats. The Crimson Tide and the Wildcats will square off at 11 o'clock in Lexington. The game will be televised on ESPN.
Now let's take a look at our Crimson Tide in the NFL Players of the Week. Jalen Hurts threw for 319 yards and 4 touchdowns with touchdown passes to former Crimson Tide wide receivers Julio Jones and Devontae Smith, as he was named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week.
Julio! Tua Tagovailoa improved to 6-0 over the New England Patriots as he threw 324 yards and 3 touchdowns, and 121 yards and a touchdown went to his teammate in Tuscaloosa, Jalen Waddle. And this is impressive, Roger. Tua leads the NFL in passing yards this season with 2,416 total yards.
Love to see that. Staying with quarterbacks, Bryce Young picked up his first NFL win as he completed 22 of 31 passes for 235 yards and a touchdown in the 15-13 win over the Houston Texans.
And Jahmyr Gibbs had a breakout performance on Monday Night Football in the Lions' win over the Raiders. Gibbs had 152 yards rushing and 37 receiving yards as he added a 27-yard rushing touchdown, his second of the year.
So a lot of great performances this week with a lot of matchups involving multiple Alabama alums.
That is true, and it was Halloween this week, so you know what that means. No, I'm not going to dress up as you again. It was great. I should, but I won't. It was also Coach Saban's birthday on October 31st, and the team celebrated with the GOAT on Tuesday. Let's take an all-access look as the team wished Coach Saban a very happy 72nd birthday.
Tide TV This Week is presented by the University of Alabama, where legends are made. Ford, visit your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide.
What a scene at Coleman Coliseum.
Whoever shows up needs to be as loud as they can possibly be.
It is just as loud here at Coleman Coliseum tonight.
But Alabama able to battle and fight and dig down and show toughness and grit.
I thought that crowd was unbelievable.
I'm telling you, this place is rocking right now.
Alabama fans at Coleman Coliseum have been so good all year long. These fans deserve it.
Christy Curry is pretty pumped up about her crew, too.
How good can the Crimson Tide be again?
You know, I think this group really bonds well together. They have great chemistry. I think you can always be the most passionate and the hardest worker in the room, and I will fight for those kids.
McQueen right down Main Street, and she'll get the foul.
Oh, what a three! A nice step through.
Gianna Cunningham.
Oh, yes!
And then we add new faces, so this team is going to be fun to watch. And we've been working in Tuscaloosa, so we're excited for the season.
Bring it on.
We are here for it.
We are back in the Crimson Tide production studio, and it is tourney time for Wes Hart and the Alabama soccer team down in a place you know well, Pensacola.
Hey, at this point, you know me well enough to know that my favorite two things to talk about are Alabama wins, obviously, and my beautiful hometown of Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, I can't wait to get back with the 21st ranked Bulldogs coming in as the 4th seed and the 25th ranked Crimson Tide coming in as the 5th. You knew this was going to go down to the wire. The Crimson Tide jumped out to a 1-0 lead off a free kick from Mariana Enest, and after a few ricochets, Brooks Steer got the final touch and the goal for the Crimson Tide.
The Bulldogs tied it up in the 54th minute of the second half on a penalty kick. It would go to a shootout, and the Bulldogs made 2 while the Tide failed to convert any of their 4 kicks. That ended the Tide's run in the SEC tournament. Now, Wes Hart and the Tide wait to see where they will begin play in the NCAA championships.
4 Crimson Tide athletes were named to all-conference teams. Gianna Paul, Jessica Skorka, and Felicia Knox were named first-team All-SEC, while Nadia Ramadan was selected for the All-Freshman team.
We also had a few other athletes from the cross-country side receiving All-SEC honors this past week.
Victor Kiprop, Hillary Cheriot, and Eliud Kipsang were all named to the first team for the men, while Doris Lemangole and Hilda Olamomoy rounded out the first team honors on the women's side.
Lemangole, along with men's freshman Kai Connor, also received all-freshman honors. And what a huge honors for those athletes. They, along with Dan Waters and the rest of the team, will be running to the NCAA Regional Championships in Gainesville this week, coming after their performance in Columbia, South Carolina for the SEC Championships.
While in Columbia, Victor Kiprop was the headline as he successfully defended his SEC Championship title to take it home for the 2nd year in a row. Racing alongside Victor was Hillary Cheriot, who finished 3rd on the men's side.
On the women's side, both Doris Lemangole and Hilda Olamomoy finished their 2nd and 3rd to help Alabama claim 4th in the race. In total, Alabama claimed 2 top 4 team finishes, 1 for the women and a 2nd place finish for the men.
As we go to break, let's take a behind-the-scenes look at the Crimson Tide's big performance at the SEC Cross Country Championships.
cross country individual champion with a time of 22 minutes, 23.4 seconds from Alabama, Victor Kiprop.
Super proud with the way they ran. They climbed the entire way. I thought she ran with a lot of courage and heart. She put it all out there, and so all the girls did. It just tells you how much heart they put into the race.
Legacies rise from purpose. They're developed through passion, determination, and the power to follow through. This is where ambition meets opportunity. What happens next is up to you. The University of Alabama, where legends are made.
Welcome back to Tide TV This Week. Now, Raj, I know there's still plenty of football to be played, but I'm excited to officially be able to say, get your hard hats because it is Tide Hoops season.
It certainly is. We have a ton of excitement to come in the football season, but it does feel great to see Coach Oates and Coach Curry get back in the swing of things.
The men took part in a charity exhibition matchup in North Carolina against Wake Forest this past Sunday. The Tide led by as many as 19, but lost the lead in the second half, leaving the final score at 88-80 in the exhibition loss.
Crimson Tide had 4 players score in double figures, but were led by Hofstra transfer Aaron Estrada, who paced the Tide with 24 points, going 10 of 20 shooting from the field.
While it is tough to see a loss, what you love to see is that all the proceeds from the exhibition will be donated to support stroke research at the Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist Comprehensive Stroke Center.
It is always great when our sports can be used to impact other people in a positive way, and I think it was definitely a great way to do it. While we were talking about positive impacts, the Alabama women's basketball team hosted a Sneakers and Sweets meet and greet following their exhibition win over UAH on Wednesday.
And it didn't take the Tide long to take control of the game, as Alabama jumped out to a 25-6 lead after the first period and led 41-18 at the half. The Tide scored the exact same amount in the second half, 41, and the defense was a little stingier, holding the Chargers to just 14 as Alabama rolled to the 50-point win, 82-32.
Alabama had 3 score in double figures as Aaliyah Nye had a game-high 16, with Sarah Ashley Barker adding 13 and Loyal McQueen had 12.
A good way to start things off for Christy Curry and the Crimson Tide. The women will be back in action in Coleman Coliseum along with the men as they officially open the season on Monday with a doubleheader.
The women will take on Alabama State at 4:30 while the men will host Morehead State at 7. Tickets are still available. Stay with us. We'll have more Tide TV This Week coming up next.
What a scene at Coleman Coliseum.
Whoever shows up needs to be as loud as they can possibly be.
It is just as loud here at Coleman Coliseum tonight.
But Alabama able to battle and fight and dig down and show toughness and grit.
I thought the crowd was unbelievable.
I'm telling you, this place is rocking right now.
Alabama fans at Coleman Coliseum have been so good all year long. These fans deserve it.
Welcome back to the Crimson Tide production studio inside of Bryant-Denny Stadium. He is Roger Hoover, I am Kenzie Hughes, and this is Tide TV This Week.
The volleyball team is just over halfway through SEC play and hosted an electric match against 24th-ranked Auburn inside Foster Auditorium on Sunday.
After dropping the first set to the Tigers, Alabama bounced back to secure the second set 25-22. The Tide then proceeded to battle all the way to the end of each set, scoring 22+ points in each, but eventually falling in both to end the match in 4. Callie Kiefer recorded her 6th double-double on the year with 37 assists and 11 digs. She, along with the rest of the team, are on the road this week to take on Texas A&M and then headed to Baton Rouge to take on the Tigers and hopefully wrap up their trip with a little bit of Cajun food if they're lucky. For me, lucky and golf are synonymous because I have absolutely not a lot of talent in either.
Don't say
But
that.
speaking of golf, the men's golf team does have a whole lot of talent as they won back-to-back tournaments for the first time since 2017, thanks to their win at the Steelwood Collegiate Championships. The men closed their fall season shooting a team total of 11 under par, 853.
Keeping it on the fairway, Taylor Kehoe and the women's golf team finished in 5th place at the Landfall Tradition with a team total of 8 under par, 856. On the final day, Kehoe jumped 16 spots on the leaderboard to eventually tie for 2nd place overall with a 54-hole total of 1 under par, 207.
Congratulations to both the men's and women's golf teams for wrapping up both of their fall seasons this past week on a high note. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do come February.
Absolutely. Congratulations to them indeed, and congratulations to our Legacy of Hope Players of the Week for having a huge impact in their respective sports this week. Find out who they are next right here on Tide TV This Week.
Tide TV This Week is presented by the University of Alabama, where legends are made. Ford, visit your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide.
Christy Curry is pretty pumped up about her crew, too.
How good can the Crimson Tide be again?
You know, I think this group really bonds well together. They have great chemistry. I think you can always be the most passionate and the hardest worker in the room, and I will fight for those kids.
McQueen right down Main Street, and she'll get the foul.
Oh, what a three! A nice step through.
Gianna Cunningham.
And then we add new faces, so this team is going to be fun to watch. And we've been working in Tuscaloosa, so we're excited for the season.
Bring it on.
We are here for it.
Knox thought about it. Oh, just off of the post. Didn't cross the line. Still unsettled and finished by Alabama. Crimson Tide have the lead.
2023 SEC Men's Cross Country Individual Champion with a time of 22 minutes, 23.4 seconds from Alabama, Victor Kiprop. Our 2nd place finisher, also from Alabama, Doris Lemon-Gole.
And those were our Legacy of Hope Plays of the Week. Now let's take a look at our Players of the Week.
Let's get into it. Roger, this is a championship school, so
Obviously.
Let's start with an SEC champion. For the 2nd year in a row, Victor Kiprop won the men's 8K at the SEC Cross Country Championships. Kiprop finished 8 seconds ahead of the 2nd place finisher as he led the Crimson Tide men to a 2nd place team finish.
And his teammate Doris Lemon-Gole finished 2nd on the women's side. Lemon-Gole finished the 6K race 12 seconds ahead of teammate Hilda Olamomoy, so they led the Crimson Tide women to a 4th place finish. Congratulations to all of our Players of the Week.
Congratulations indeed. Our athletes have really been kicking it up, and I can't wait to see what they do in the winter.
Absolutely. Have a great week, everyone. Hope to see you right back here next week for another edition of Tide TV This Week. Hey, roll Tide.
Roll Tide to you.
And to you.
And to you.
This has been a presentation from Learfield,